What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I am super stoked about this video. My friends over at Enhance Auto sent me their Gen 2 sexy buttons. I've wanted to get my hands on the sexy buttons before I even knew I was getting a Tesla. I've seen other people talk about them in the past, and I think they're one of the coolest aftermarket features that you can add to your Tesla. This video is not sponsored by Enhance Auto. They don't get to review this video ahead of time or anything like that, but they were kind enough to send me the product for review, as well as give me a special discount code that you all can use if you want to order some sexy buttons for yourself. You can use code Metz Tech to get 10% off. So with the housekeeping out of the way, if you're unfamiliar with what sexy buttons are, they're basically 4 little buttons. Well, you can get more than 4, but this has 4 that can perform over 60 actions inside of your Tesla. And just recently, they added some great new updates to the sexy buttons that I want to talk about in this video. Firstly, they've recently added macros, so you can now perform up to 3 actions with a single button press. They also have added seat controls, so you can now manipulate your driver's seat or your passenger power operated seat from anywhere in the vehicle, and I'll show you why this can be super helpful. And then this is really neat. It's not applicable to my Tesla necessarily, but you can actually enable or disable the front or rear motors. So if you want to turn your dual motor car into a rear wheel only, you can do that. Or if you want to make it a front wheel drive only, which you've never been able to do before, you can now do that on your dual motor Tesla. Again, I have a rear wheel drive, so I'm stuck with just rear wheel, but if you have a dual motor, you now have multiple different options. They've also added a new horizontal dashboard to their mobile app, which is really nice. Their app for iOS and Android is where you're going to be able to set up your commander, all of your different sexy buttons, get them paired, and then link all of the different actions to the different buttons. And there are so many different actions inside of this app that you can set up. And we're going to take a look at just a few in this video. But before we talk about the actions that I've actually set up on mine, let's go ahead and walk through the install process. It's super easy and super simple. It does require a little bit of labor to get it set up, but it's not that bad. If I can do it, you can do it. So here's how you get the Gen 2 Commander connected to the 2024 Model 3 refresh. All right, let's go ahead and work on the installation here. So I've got the Model 3Y Gen 2 front mounting cable here, this little pry tool, and then as well the Gen 2 Commander right here. First thing we want to do is actually remove this trim. So we're just going to kind of carefully pull the trim away from the door seal here. Comes away. No big deal. So now that we've gotten the trim pulled back a little bit, what you want to do is you want to put your pry tool up under this portion here. We're going to kind of pry this piece away here. I found that you can actually get a little bit better access if you go ahead and open the glove box. There we go. Now once this piece is off, there's a little pin back here. So you want to go in between the little ring around the pin. So there's a little ring right here, and you just want to put your pry tool kind of in between the ring and then this piece here, and then it just kind of pops out nice and easy like that. So now let's go ahead and get our cable out. So this cable's broken up into a couple pieces. This part is going to go into the OBD port, and then there is like a power splitter here. We're going to unplug one power source and then, daisy chain it off of that. This piece is far less flexible than they make it seem, so this is going to be pretty tough. So I don't know how much of this I'm going to be able to get on camera, but I'll try and get you some close-ups with my phone so you can see. So this piece isn't really pliable like they show in the video. That port down there is what we're trying to plug it into, and then this is the power adapter that we need to switch out. So I'm going to try and do that off camera because it's really tough. All right, I got the power adapter piece unplugged, and I'm going to plug the male end into the female end of the daisy chain here. Click that in. Now I just got to feed this power adapter male portion back into that open slot right back there. All right, so all the wiring technically is now connected. So we just have to connect the Commander itself to this black cable here. It's the only option. Nice and easy for this Gen 2 Commander right there. And boom, we should be all powered up and good to go. But I'm gonna go ahead and try and connect the app before I plug everything back in, just in case I did it wrong. So I've already downloaded the Enhance Auto app, connect a new Commander. All right, Commander is connected. Now it would be nice if they put a little LED on here to let you know that it's working. But I'd say on a difficulty scale of 1 to 10 on actually installing the Commander here, I'd say it's like a 5. It's not terribly difficult, but I think because of how much they've been manipulating this piece. Theirs was a little bit more flexible. This is pretty stiff, and that's good. You want it to be nice and firm. Also, this vehicle is brand new, so that might be part of it. Sweet. Yeah, looks good. That's what I love most about the sexy button system. Like if I didn't tell you that, you know, where the commander and stuff was, you wouldn't even know. You'd think it was all just seamless. All right, so now that we've got the commander installed, you can very easily use the app to pair the buttons to the commander. And now you can set these up with any action your heart desires and of course take advantage of those 3-in-1 macros. But let's take a look at some of my favorites that I've set up. All right, so I've got all 4 of my sexy buttons paired here, and I've got them set up to the functions that I use the most. So the first button that I have is my S button here, and this has a couple functions inside the, you know, main cabin here. And I haven't actually stuck them anywhere yet because I'm not exactly sure where I want to position them and if I want to use the adhesive on the back or if I want to use some Velcro to some different places or maybe magnets. I'm just haven't exactly decided yet. But I think I'm going to put this one somewhere over on the steering wheel or on this side over here, somewhere that's within easy reach. And this one I've got paired to 2 different functions. So single press opens the glove box, just like that. So that's nice and easy. So glove box is the first feature. And then the double press, I actually have set my regen braking to 0. And the reason that I have this is just in case my wife wants to drive the car. She doesn't like regen braking. So I've got it set so if she wants to double press this, she can turn regen all the way off and drive it just like a normal car, which is actually super unique because you can't actually do that anywhere inside of the settings here. Most of the other functions you can achieve by going into the settings or by, you know, using manual buttons. That's one thing you cannot do. It's super weird to drive my Tesla without regen braking because I've been driving electric vehicles for like, what, 5 years now, and I'm so used to regen when I drive vehicles that don't have it. It throws me off, so I would never touch this, but you can do it. Next up, we've got the 3 button or the E button in sexy here. This one is going in the trunk, and this has 2 functions. So single press is going to move my passenger seat forward, double press is going to move it backwards, and then you would just single press or double press again to stop. So for example, single press, it starts moving forward, single press again, it stops, just like that. Now I'm putting this in the trunk so that I have easy access if I'm dropping my second row seats to get, you know, more trunk space for longer items or for more camera gear or something like that. And I just want to quick and easily slide this seat forward so that the, you know, headrest can kind of sink down and it will drop all the way, and I don't have to come back around and, you know, open the door and adjust it and all that kind of stuff. Just quick and easy, single button press in the trunk to be able to do that. Super clutch. But then let's say I want to move it back because, you know, somebody's coming to sit in the seat. I can just double press. It'll start moving back again. I can double press and it'll stop. Super, super convenient. I'm going to put a little bit of Velcro on the back of this one and just Velcro it right onto the carpet lining of the trunk. And there you go. You have a little seat adjuster right in the back. Then on the X button, I actually set this one up to have a macro. And I think I'm going to put this one somewhere over here on the door panels so that when I'm getting out of the car, I can just press this and all of these functions will happen. So I'm a videographer, right? So I shoot weddings from time to time. So sometimes I have to go out of town to shoot a wedding. I just shot one over the weekend. It was about 45 minutes out of town. That uses a lot of my battery, right? And I usually use all of my trunk and sometimes my frunk also to load all of my gear. So when I get back home from these film shoots, I want to unload all my gear and plug my car into charge as soon as I get back. So I'll back my car into the garage, and then usually what I do is I just go around, I either use the app to open each thing, or I use the controller on the actual charger, or I hit the buttons on the screen, but I have to do all of that one at a time. Well, not anymore. I've got this X button programmed to open my frunk, my charging port, and my trunk, all with a single press of the button. Check it out. And then I can actually press it again and it will close the charging port and the trunk, but unfortunately it won't close the frunk because it's not a power frunk, but that's no big deal. So this single button press does 3 things that I would normally have to manually do, and I still have double press macro, long press macro. There's so much functionality in just a single button. And then finally, I've got my Y button, and this one is pretty specific to me and my situation. So, you know, I'll be driving along. I understand the controls pretty well for the climate and all that kind of stuff. My wife, she's still learning how to actually manipulate the screen and do all these types of things. There will be a lot of times where she wants her seat heater on or off, or her ventilated seat on or off, and she'll start clicking on the sound button here and doing all this kind of stuff, and she's like, I just don't know how to get to it. So I try to tell her, I'm like, you swipe up from the bottom, and then it all, you know, pops up, and it's over here on your side and all that kind of stuff. We'll get there eventually. She'll figure it out. But I went ahead and just put the front passenger seat heater on a single press and the front passenger ventilated seat on a double press. So with this button, I can stick it over here to the side next to her seat. And then if she wants heated seats, she can single press. If she wants heated seats off, she can single press again. If she wants her ventilated seat on, she can double press or double press to turn it off. Super convenient. The only downside to this functionality is it doesn't actually display on your climate control whether it's heating or cooling. You just kind of have to feel for it. They haven't gotten it to where it kind of shows on the display, so that's the only major downside to it. But other than that, just being able for her to be able to turn it on or off with this single button, super convenient for her. And as a quick little bonus, for those of us that do have a Model 3 refresh like I do here, you've got a couple options here that you can assign that can be really nice kind of quality of life improvements, right? So of course you can do the obvious. You can set a button to be a turn signal. If you want to put it on the back of your steering wheel as your left and right turn signals and do it that way, you could do that. You know, obviously you've got the buttons on the front here, so if it's just a better placement for you, you can do that. But one of the really nice ones for people that not only live in, you know, overseas climates where it's really cold, but also, you know, somewhere up north in the States where it's going to be really cold. Sometimes it can be hard if you have gloves on to swipe on the touchscreen and switch between reverse and drive. You can do that really easily using the buttons and the app. So for example, I would probably set mine to toggle between drive and reverse. So I'll go ahead and save that. So now if I'm sitting here, I've got my button, I can just push it once, went ahead and put it in drive. Push it again, switch to reverse, just like that. And just switch back and forth, nice and easy. But you could put it somewhere super convenient, like right under here on the armrest. So when you get in, you could just put your arm here, click it once, click it again. You know, you can put it down here somewhere. You could put it right under your charging pad if you want to reach up here. But it's super convenient for those people that really like the updated Model 3, but just don't want to have to swipe on the screen. This still gives you the option to have somewhat of a physical gear shift. And I'm just completely scratching the surface, like I said. You can add a bunch more buttons if you want to. You even have these little kind of software buttons on the app, so if you want even more functionality and you're using your phone, you can do all of that. And I mean, the amount of functions that you can actually do, I mean, there is a whole list of things. Climate control, headlights, wipers, you know, stopping mode, traction control on and off. There's so much functionality in here. You guys can go crazy with this. I would love to hear about some of your favorite actions or macros that you've set up down in the comments for sure. Again, huge shout out to Enhance Auto for partnering with me on this video and sending me their Gen 2 sexy buttons. Super stoked. I'm really excited to work with them. And they have a lot of other great products coming down the pipeline, including the sexy knob that will work with the updated Model 3. They've assured me that that's coming in a few months, and I'm super stoked to check that out with you guys on this channel. And they're also working on physical stocks for the Model 3. So if you really don't like using the steering wheel buttons, don't worry, they're working on them, and hopefully I'll be able to check those out on this channel as well. And again, if you want to pick up your own set of sexy buttons or any of Enhance Auto's awesome products, definitely use my discount code Metz Tech. You'll get 10% off and it'll let them know I sent you.